Alright, looks like we are good to go. Hello everyone, Artemu the Violet Wizard here, and today we are continuing The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Last time we did a whole bunch of stuff around Termina. We went over to Romani Ranch and managed to not only save the farm from some invading aliens, but we were also able to help Cremia with delivering some milk to town. And we also got started with exploring a bit of the Great Bay area of Termina, which has certainly been an interesting place for us to see so far, managing to meet with a dying Zora who asked us in order to fulfill some unfinished business with him, and that is to rescue the eggs that had belonged to one of his fellow bandmates. So we definitely got ourselves a very integral mission that we're going to be focusing on in this session if we're going to advance further into the Great Bay storyline. However, before we get started on that, we are actually back here in the Kana Graveyard, as there's some unfinished business we have with this area that we can do on the final night of this cycle. So the last time we were in this area, we managed to best Captain Kita in combat, earning us the Captain's Hat, which allowed us to do a couple things around here. We were able to enter 2 of the graves on the first and second nights in the graveyard. And by doing so, we're able to get some pretty good progress in wrapping up some things we needed to do. And we are back here on the final night in order to finally wrap up what we can do around this area. So once the final night roams around, we of course have some skull children all about here. Huh? Oh, Captain! Excuse me, sir. You're able to freely talk to these guys if you have the captain's hat on. The squad leader's in front of that grave over there, sir. Alright, thanks for that. So what we want to do now is talk to these guys that are circling this grave.
Huh? Ah, Captain, sir! Excuse me, sir! Everyone, give the Captain your attention! We haven't seen you in some time, Captain, sir. As per your orders, sir, we've been guarding these graves closely. We've all been expecting your next order, sir.
Open the grave.
Open it? Yes, sir. Everyone, follow me!
It's quite interesting having stall children as allies for once, considering that they were enemies back in Ocarina. Certainly an interesting spin on things. If we dive into this hole here, we are now in an exclusive area of the graveyard. Certainly one of the more elaborate areas down here. And we can find a Dampe down here.
You? Who are you? I can't see because it's too bright. You're not a ghost, are you? A fairy? Oh, it was the fairy's light. In that case, it's just perfect. I came looking for the royal family's legendary treasure, but my torch has gone out. I'm sorry, but could you walk in front of me and light the way? Please? You will? In that case, I'll use your light as I walk. Just lead me to the place where you think the treasure is buried. I'll even split the treasure with you. I'm counting on you now.
So we got ourselves a pretty interesting quest we can do with Dampe down here at the bottom of the graveyard. We want to use Tattle in order to lure him over to these patches of dirt that are scattered all throughout here.
Something strange is here, but isn't any treasure. Show me another spot.
So yeah, this part is a little interesting. You don't want to get too far away from him because he'll just start wandering to another section of the map. And you definitely want to be efficient at this. Oh, we got ourselves a big nasty over here. that guy's one of the more infamous enemies in the Zelda series. So down here, we can be attacked by wall masters, which are giant zombified hands that will drop down from the ceiling and grab you and then just pull you out of whatever area you're in. Quite nasty to run into those guys.
Nothing's turned up. Take me to another spot.
So what we basically need to do here while the countdown is going on in the background, just need to try and guide Dampe over. We need him to uncover 3 different spots around here that are determined completely randomly, I believe. Alright, there's the second one. So just one more area we need to bring him to. This area can be a bit interesting because there are some trickier areas that you'll need to lure Dampe to, depending on how the randomization goes in this area.
Nothing's turned up. Take me to another spot.
Okay, I think there's one more normal area we can go to on this side of the room, but then we're gonna have to try and get interesting with this. Oh, actually... Okay, we dug up all of those spots, so the only thing we gotta do with Dampe is lure him to one of the more interesting sections of this area. So in order to get him up to a certain area that we can dig, we need to lure him onto these brown platforms in the ground. Because once he's on that, it will start to lift him up to a new area. And we want to be very quick about this and maneuver ourselves to a spot where we can reach him. Alright, he should be coming up to this platform here. So I really hope a wall master doesn't come at us when we're on this very small platform. Be sure to lock onto him so that he comes towards you. Alright, got him up here.
There's something strange about this spot.
Yeah. Now let's pray that this is the one we need. There we go! After you manage to awaken 3 of the flames, they merge together into a new enemy. This thing is a big Poe. If you remember from Ocarina, these are the giant ghosts that you would hunt around Hyrule Field, and you'd have to kill these guys in order to get a very nice reward. But here we got a big Poe as a mini-boss of the graveyard. Considering we've already had to fight some Iron Knuckles in this area, having a big Poe as the final encounter we can have here in the graveyard is quite fitting, given this area's entire background. This thing can be pretty nasty, all things considered. It's not really too bad. Just strike it with the bow, and then wait for it to stop spinning so you can strike it again. There we go. And after we dispatch of the Phantom, it actually drops its soul onto the ground. And if we approach it with an empty bottle, we can actually catch the soul of the big Poe, which is going to be quite useful for something if we're able to actually do this. And by beating the giant specter that causes this chest over here to appear at the end of the graveyard. And if we open this sucker up, we get ourselves an empty bottle. Now, your reward here is different if you are playing the Nintendo 3DS version of this game, as the bottle that you would normally get here is swapped for the piece of heart that you would have gotten from racing against Komei. I mean, by doing the archery game with Komei over in the swamp. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that they would change the location of this item. I mean, it's kind of fitting as Komei works at the potion shop. Oh, also able to get a purple rupee by breaking open that. So that's quite good to do. And by heading up the stairs here, we can find ourselves over in Dampé's place. He's kind of going through it right now.
I ain't seen nothing and I don't know nothing.
Poor guy is all scared after encountering that big phantom. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to do in the graveyard. We're able to acquire that last bottle that we can get in this area. Bringing our total amount of bottles up to 4. Now, I highly recommend before you advance further in the Great Bay questline, I highly recommend that you have 4 bottles. So, by managing to acquire all of these, we should be pretty good for the stuff that I want to do in the rest of this session. So now that we've taken care of things in the graveyard, there is no more reason for us to be here. So let us head back to town. So you probably guessed we are on the final night of this cycle, and we're going to be spending a lot of time doing a couple of things in this session. So we're going to be resetting back to the start of the 3-day cycle in just a bit. But I primarily want to try and showcase if we have enough time for this. If we head to the curiosity shop, oh yeah, the thing is open at 10 p.m., so we're gonna have to wait a little while before we can show this off. But I figure with us encountering the big Poe at the bottom of the graveyard, it's a good opportunity as any to show this off. So we're just going to let the countdown go for a little bit until it is finally 10, and then we can showcase what I want to do here. And then we'll go and restart this cycle. So yeah, in between the last session and this one, what I was doing earlier today is I decided that it would be nice to prepare for some of the things we need to do in the future sessions. So I spent some time grinding up some rupees by killing some Dodongos as well as Tokori outside of Clocktown, and taking the opportunity to gather up some rupees and depositing them into the bank. Because trust me, we're going to need a lot of rupees for some things going forward. There's quite a few expensive items that we need to purchase later on, and there's also the big prize we get if you deposit 5,000 rupees in the bank. So I feel like it's a good opportunity for us to take care of that, while we're also showcasing some of the other things around town. Alright, but I want to head into the curiosity shop. Come in! You gotta look around, I'm doing a special sale. Check it out. Tonight's special bargain was just stolen. It just came in seconds ago. This is really hot, I kid you not. And actually, it's something sold over the bomb shop, but a thief sold it to me. It's a bomb bag. So yeah, we're able to check the bargains over in the store. So you're able to acquire a bomb bag at the curiosity shop. This is actually the very same bomb bag that is stolen from the lady who runs the bomb shop on midnight of the first night in the cycle. So it's kind of interesting to see it turn up here afterwards. I actually want to quit talking to you there. So by talking to him, we can register him in the notebook. But I also want to come in here in order to... We can sell one of our items with the C buttons. I'll pay a good for it. Show it to me with C. So pretty much any item that can be stored in a bottle can be sold here. For that, I'll give you 200 rupees. And you're able to acquire a huge rupee by killing the big Poe and selling its soul to the curiosity shop. That is very nice. A nice, easy way of acquiring a lot of rupees in this cycle. I mean, you could always kill Tokori in order to acquire the same amount of rupees, and he respawns every time you return to Termina Field. So that's probably the more efficient way of being able to acquire a lot of money. Yeah, you can see now that we're in the 3,000s when it comes to our rupee totals. Trust me when I say we're going to need as many rupees as we can going forward. We still have a lot we gotta deposit to get the big prize here. But now that we've acquired the bottle from the graveyard, that should be about everything I need to do in this cycle. So we managed to do quite a bit in between what we were doing in the last session and this one. So I'm quite satisfied. So it's time to return to the beginning of this free day journey again. "72 hours to go before we have to redo this all over again." Alright, so obviously, first thing you want to do at the start of every cycle is play Reverse Song of Time in order to give you 3 times the amount of time that can be spent in this cycle. It's kind of interesting, the next time I do a full playthrough of this game, I do want to go through it without trying to use the inverted Song of Time as much as I want to. Which could be an interesting challenge to do. I really haven't gone through this game without using the reverse Song of Time. So that could be an interesting thing we could attempt to do later on. Now, before we begin the bulk of what this session is going to give us, there is something we can do in Clocktown. Specifically, once we have all 3 of our transformation masks, there's a certain area in this place that has something for us. But in order to take this on, we're probably gonna need some rupees. So just give me a second to acquire some. We just demolish all of those bushes and just get us a ton of easy rupees there. Yeah, I think we could use 10 rupees for this. And we can always restock on rupees whenever we need to, so it's all good. Now, what I want to do, and now that we have all of our transformation masks, is I want to stop by this place. Open the chest for something splendid, the thrill of surprise, the treasure chest shop. This place has something pretty neat for us. We talked to this lady over here, who has a character design I quite like. Come in. Oh, is the kid collecting masks? How about it, want to play? For you, it's... Oh, we need 20 rupees. So I think this game actually has different costs depending on which form you're in. Oh, what a cute little customers. You want to play? For you, it's only 10 rupees. So yeah, depending on what form you're in, she will offer you different fees. If you're going to make it all the way to the treasure chest and open it within the time limit, I'll give you a special prize. Finding out what's inside's half the fun. Are you ready? So this area is quite interesting. All we gotta do is get to the chest at the end of this room. However, this place is a maze featuring raising and lowering blocks. In order to navigate this area, you just have to be very persistent and crafty with how you approach this area. You also want to be quick about it because you only have a limited amount of time to be able to do this. Yep, if you are able to get through here in a good enough amount of time, you can usually get some nice rewards here. But we're not really making the best time in our Deku form. Might be able to get over here now. So by completing the game as the Deku Scrub, our prize is a Deku Nut. That sucks. Did you have fun? Won't you try again? I'm out of money. So yeah, that is what happens when we play the game as the Deku Scrub. However, what if we were to play as someone a bit bigger? Well, aren't you a fit fellow? Wanna play? For you, it's 30 rupees. Okay, I knew we were gonna need rupees for this session. We have plenty in the bank. Let's go ahead and grab some of our investments. We're only gonna be here for a little bit, so don't worry. We'll move on with the main course of this session very soon. Just want to make sure that we're able to handle this. Considering what else that I want to attempt in this area. So let's withdraw 80 rupees. So I want to try and have a few goes at this as if we can. And we have plenty of opportunities to try and get the various prizes we can in this area. So yeah, if you try to do that game as the Deku Scrub, your prize is only a measly Deku Nut. Not very worth it. Now what I would recommend, if you want to do this as the Hylian, definitely have the bunny hood equipped, because that's going to make this so much easier to do. That's so cute. I want to eat it. Why would you want to eat a rabbit? You know they're very lean and don't have much fat on them, right? But yeah, we're going to make an attempt at this in our Hylian form. Now, this one is going to be a bit interesting. So the placement of the chest as well as the walls is going to be completely random for each attempt you make at this game. So it definitely adds to the tricky factor of this place with trying to navigate through it and trying to snag the treasure. However, we were able to get as a Hylian quite easily. So by doing it in our Hylian form, you get 50 rupees. It can actually be quite a nice way in order to accumulate rupees in this area. But I want to move along to being our Goron form. So playing as Darmani, it costs us 30 rupees to play this game. But believe me when I say this one is very worth it, especially for achieving 100% completion. Now for this form, it could definitely help to use your rolling ability, as that allows you to quickly navigate through this area. But with the way that the walls will raise and lower, it can also be a bit tricky and can easily discombobulate you sometimes. Alright, we know you're over there. Might be able to get... Not from this angle. Ah, shoot. So we have completely messed this one up. Yeah, this game could definitely be tricky. It'll take you a few attempts in order to succeed. However, you can easily make back your rupees by playing in the Hylian form. Should have no trouble with that. It's just the Goron form is a bit tricky because your base speed is very slow, and moving fast can result in you losing control at points. So yeah, this mode is definitely very interesting. Oh, come on. Get this thing. There we go. All right, our second attempt as the Goron. And this nets us a piece of heart. So that's definitely a very nice reward as the Goron. Won't you try again? No, thank you. We already managed to win as that. And of course, we also have a run we can do as the Zora. Well, hello there, handsome. Wanna play? Oh, it's only 5 rupees in our Zora form. That's kind of interesting. I do not understand why it's that cheap, but the reward probably isn't going to be very good to compensate. I actually haven't won this game as the Zora, so I have no idea what the prize is going to be. It's definitely one of those in-game events that I could have done research about, so that I would know more about the ins and outs of this particular minigame. Okay, I have a good idea on where to get this chest now, if we can. Okay, this one is tricky. I have a basic idea on the path we need to get to it. Don't tell me that this one... Alright, we can try this one again. That was definitely not a very good run. Apparently, Mikau is not that really good at these minigames. Alright, we got the chest over there. Good idea if we head on the right side of the board. This should bring us pretty close to our destination. Not that angle. Get over... Nope, not from that angle. But I have a pretty good idea on where we need to go. If we can manage it... Ah, shoot. Not another one of these. I don't know if this minigame uses preset patterns for the chest and the walls, but it seems like that is definitely the case in some instances. So by doing that as a Zora, you only get a measly 20 rupees. So that explains the low cost for that minigame. So yeah, that's basically all we're able to do here. You can win rupees, a piece of heart, and a frickin' nut. Really not the best minigame area, all things considered. Also, I didn't say this earlier, but hello, Master Starman. Welcome to the stream. But now that we've taken care of all that, I think it's time that we get into the real meat and potatoes of this stream session. So we're going to be spending the bulk of today over in Great Bay. So we're going to want to soar on over to the Great Bay coast. Alright, just want to check my notes, because I know there's quite a few things that we're going to be doing in this area. Yeah, there is a lot to do here. So what I want to do when exploring this area, easily the best thing to do is to be a Zora, as you're able to navigate the waters around Great Bay very easily. As I said before in the last session, I quite like swimming around in the Zora form. Just really cool, just blazing through the water. Of course, you can't go too far out into the bay because the water gets very murky and it will send you just back to shore. So that's a little unfortunate. Another nice thing with our Zora form, if we slow down, we can actually sink to the bottom and walk along the seafloor. Very similar to how things were in Ocarina when you wear the iron boots. So yeah, this area definitely has a lot of callbacks to the Ocarina of Time water areas, but has their own unique spin of things. Like, I really enjoy just being able to explore this open water area, just very nice swimming around, getting the feel of what it's like actually swimming as a Zora. Just very cool. And definitely highlights the skills of this particular race when it comes to exploring underwater areas. Anyway, we want to head to the northern section of the bay, as this is going to be very important to us in our journey forward. You can see there's this big iron gate out here. It's actually the entrance into the pirate stronghold that we heard about, as some Gerudo pirates have made off with Lulu's precious eggs, and we need to get them back. Ah, Mikau, what are you doing in a place like this? This is the ominous pirate's fortress. I don't think you should get too close. But I'm okay. Well, actually, the pirates of this fortress are all women, and better yet, I hear they're all gorgeous. So I thought maybe I should check them out. But don't look at me like that. Me can hardly blame him. The Gerudo are a very gorgeous race, especially in some of the later games of the series, especially Breath of the Wild. Oh man, they got a lot of good designs over there. So what we need to do in order to access the pirate's fortress, you can see these planks of wood over here with the skull and crossbone markings on them. If you ram into these, you'll eventually expose a hole down here that will actually lead inside the fortress proper. The pirate's fortress. This area is going to be quite interesting for us to explore. There is a lot for us to see over here. Now, if you remember the Gerudo Fortress back in Ocarina of Time, then this area will be very familiar to you. We have Gerudos all over this place, and if they catch you, they will throw you out of the fortress. So, obviously, be careful when navigating this area. You're able to see where their boats are patrolling on the map here, so definitely keep that in mind. We'll also occasionally run into bonefish in this area, so just be careful. So we want to head over to this part of the fortress and just wait for the boats to pass, so we'll be able to go forward without being spotted. Okay? So once those ladies have passed, we're able to come up here. And we got ourselves this big switch over here. So we're going to need to weigh you down as the Goron. Also, it should be very obvious, but don't go into the water in your Goron form. Gorons cannot swim, and as such, you'll just be warped back to the entrance of whatever area you were in. Quite nasty. Of course, you can see on the map that there are some points of interest that we can find around here. So we just dive around and look, we should be able to find some goodies at the bottom of this area. This is a very big map to explore, and there is quite a lot to see, so definitely be thorough when you're around here. So we got 2 more chests we should be able to get in this area. Yep, I can see the next one already. Quite good. We're able to get another red rupee over there. And then we got one more over here by this path that we opened up by weighing down that switch. And it should be just over here. Definitely remember the locations of these chests if you want to try and get rupees for the bank, because it can be quite nice to do at the start of just any new 3-day cycle you might want to start. So now we've opened up the path over here. We just want to dive right on in. This area, you want to be careful. We got some very claustrophobic passages here to explore in our Zora form. Plus a few other things that we need to worry about, such as this block over here that we got to pull in order to access another section of the base. Yeah, this area definitely gives me a lot of similar feelings to how things were back in Ocarina when you're exploring the Gerudo base there, which should come as no surprise, since the Gerudo here are very similar to the ones we encountered back in Ocarina. It's quite the interesting contrast how the Gerudos back in Ocarina were a tribe of desert roaming thieves, whereas here in Termina, they live out in the coast and taken up piracy. It's quite the interesting little contrast. I feel like there is a spot that we can go up here in order to get to this chest. Maybe it's back over here. Trying to think about the layout of this area, and starting to think we want to move that block there, because there is a chest we can grab. I think if we head to this section and head up, yep, we can go over into this little space, and we can grab yet another red rupee. You can see the pirates have actually lost quite a bit of their plunder down here. Or maybe they're using it as a storage area. I wouldn't quite know, as I don't really understand them too much. But, you know, a lady's gotta work, you know. Alright, now this part you want to be careful. So in this area, we got these mines that will explode and do damage. But you also want to watch out for some currents that you see running along this area. If you get pulled into the current, they will push you outside of the fortress, and then you have to try to explore this area all over again. So yeah, be careful. So now that we're in this room, there's going to be quite a few things of interest. For one, we can grab this chest over here, netting us yet another red rupee. Man, this area is just full of treasure to collect. It's quite nice. Oh, look over there. We got ourselves a piece of heart. Now to get this one, we needed to switch over to our Goron form and just break apart these barrels, which will then expose this switch for us to press. Then we want to very quickly get over into this cell to grab the piece of heart. Very good. Just need one more to fill up our next heart container. There's also a few pots in this area, but I don't think they really have a whole lot for us. Alright, so the next thing we need to do, we want to come up here, and then we need to hit that switch. So we can freely do this with either our arrows or by using our fins, which we can throw like a boomerang. Definitely making very good use of our Zora form skills here. Oh, you also have to be quick about that, because apparently the gate will raise back up. Alright, now this section you want to carefully navigate around the mines and avoid the water current. Otherwise, you're going to get blown out of here. But we should be pretty close to the end of this section. So we head up this ladder and hit this switch in order to expose that. Then want to stand on this spot. And you can probably guess what we got to do. We have a time mission here. We got to weigh down the switch, stand on a specific spot, and then hit that guy. This will cause the water to rise up, giving us the means of being able to head further on up. Very good. So now we've done that, I want to see what else we can find here. Got a couple rupees and a nut. Sure. I can take one of those. So I'm definitely going to be spending the bulk of this area in our Zora form. It just feels right. Also, kind of fitting to give Mikau a second chance with this rescue mission, you know? Oh, we got a telescope out here. So we can use this in order to look around and get a good look at the interior of the base. So you can obviously see there is a ton of Gerudo pirates all over this area. They're patrolling all over the place, and getting past them could be quite tricky. So yeah, definitely use that to get a good eye at what this area is going to entail. The next thing we can do, we can just blast those mines apart to allow us to hit this switch. And that opens up the way forward. Very good. Alright, and now we're up near the exterior of the internal part of the pirate base. So now we'll want to head this way. And now we're in the fortress proper. This is where things can get interesting. So, same rules apply here as they do in Ocarina. We got Gerudos patrolling all over the area, and if they catch you, they will toss you out of the stronghold, and then you have to infiltrate it all over again. So you're able to deal with the Gerudos in a number of ways. For one, much like in Ocarina, if you pull out your bow and shoot it at a Gerudo, you're able to stun her for a little while. However, remember the stone mask we got back in the last session? If we have the stone mask, we can stand in front of a Gerudo and they will not notice us. So yeah, this thing is very useful. We're able to just completely avoid detection and be able to maneuver past the Gerudo. Definitely very useful. I wouldn't recommend physically touching the Gerudo because they might still notice you that way. But yeah, feel free to use this mask. You can just completely circumvent this section. Sorry about this. Ah, shot you right in the navel. That's gotta hurt. But yeah, I want to head up to this upper section before we can get started on some of the other things we can do around here. Yeah, I think the 3DS version does move the stone mask to the fortress. I haven't played that version, so I wouldn't know myself. Uh-oh. This place has a wasp infestation. I've been waiting for you. And did you find the rest of the eggs? No, but that's because... What are you trying to pull here? If people hear the great pirates have lost the treasure they stole, will become the laughing stock. Yes, but Avail. The sea's strangely murky where we were attacked by the sea snakes. Silence! That's why the Zoras can't send for any help. Now that the eggs are gone, the Zoras should be frantically searching for them. If we don't hurry, the Zoras will get to them before we do. There are 4 eggs here now. Hurry, go find the other 3 eggs before those sea snakes eat them. Understood. Wait. The Zora eggs are the only clue we have about that dragon cloud floating over the bay. If what that strange masked one said is true, and if we can get our hands on the treasure that lies sleeping in the temple in that dragon cloud, then we can spend the rest of our lives living the good life. So get a move on and go find them, now! Understood! So the pirates stole the eggs in order to try and enter the Great Bay Temple, which they believe hides a valuable treasure. And they got this information from someone wearing a mask. Wonder who that could be. So this section here, this room is quite interesting. We have a good view of their leader's room from here. I bet if you needed to, you can shoot an arrow for these bars. So you can try to enter this area normally. However, the stone mask will not have an effect on Avail, the leader of the pirates. She will recognize who you are and have you thrown out of this place. So we're gonna need to find another means of being able to access this area. Wouldn't you know it? This place has an insect infestation. How about we take advantage of that? So by knocking down that hive, that scares away the pirates. So now we can enter Avail's chamber. Well, my idea is that Avail's sensors are so sharp that she's able to piece together what's actually going on, and the mask's magic doesn't actually affect her. But with that, we are now able to enter the pirates' chambers and acquire a very, very useful item. You found the hook shot. Use it to grapple items so you can reel them in or pull yourself over to them. So this thing is definitely a great item. The hook shot is one of the best items introduced in the entire Zelda series. This thing is great. Considering our current loadout here, so we'll hold off on that. But yeah, this thing is going to be quite useful. Not only exploring the Great Bay area, but for other areas. We're able to use it to latch on to certain places, like on top of this big tank that they're actually using to house the Zora eggs that they stole. Now, in here, we also have a bit of a tricky enemy to deal with. It's got this big clam guy. So this guy is a shell blade. So you cannot attack this thing while its shell is open. In order to kill this thing, you need to wait for it to open and expose its fleshy insides. And then you can strike at it. It's a little tricky in this cramped spot, which is why I just took so much damage there. Alright, so we managed to find the Zora egg. Isn't this a Zora egg? I wonder how we can carry it. I'm pretty sure we have pockets we can use, but sure, I guess we can do this too. So in order to retrieve the Zora eggs, you need an empty bottle. And as we heard from Avail, there are 4 eggs inside the fortress. Yeah, you can understand why this area can be a little frustrating for some people to go through, since you need the ability to carry the Zora eggs in your bottles. That means you have to come here with empty bottles. But if you want to go through this area without making multiple trips, then you are going to need to obviously come here with 4 bottles. Luckily, I was able to do that before coming here, so it's no worry for me, but that is something I do want to note if you want to try and get through this area as efficiently as possible. Able to grab another red rupee there, actually maxing out our total rupees at the moment. Alright, so next thing we need to do in this area, we have a ton of areas we can explore in the Pirate Fortress that we need to go through in order to get some eggs. And I'm pretty sure that the remainder of the chests in this area just hold rupees. So I'm not gonna bother grabbing the remainders that we can find here. But yep, our next course of action is to explore this area and find those eggs. Alright, so that is a Veil's Chamber. So we're gonna want to head this way next. As long as you have your stone mask on, you should be able to avoid detection from the pirates. And then we can use our hook shot in order to latch onto these pillars in order to carry us over. And I want to say the hook shot in this game has about the same reach as the long shot from Ocarina of Time. In fact, let me test it out there. Yeah, you can even use it to stun the pirates, but at this point with our current gear, we don't need to worry too much about that. So we head into this chamber. Halt! We aren't fooled by that mask. Again, some of the pirates are able to see through our illusions. So we got ourselves a Gerudo pirate to battle. She can be quite nasty if you're unprepared. They play very similar to the Gerudos we encountered back in Ocarina. They'll slash at you with your scimitars, they can be evasive, and they got a really nasty attack that they can sometimes do. They'll also try to jump over you like that. That can also be nasty. But they're not too bad if you have the gilded sword. Ugh! Don't think it ends here! And by taking care of her, that opens up the path forward. Yeah, this area, as you can no doubt tell, is very similar to how things played out back in Ocarina with the Gerudo Fortress. I mean, it kind of makes sense that they could reuse these assets, since they already have the programming for the Gerudo from that game, so they can just easily reuse all that stuff in this game. Definitely helps them to save time and just be able to handle making new enemies for this area by just reusing assets. Alright, now that we dealt with that big bonefish there, we can grab ourselves yet another Zora egg. So that is our second egg here. So we just got a few more to get. Alright. But we should be good. We're making good progress so far. It's almost the first night of this cycle, so we're definitely making good time. Alright, got the egg from that section. So, want to head over this way to the spot that we can also reach with our hook shot. While we're in this area, there's also something that I want to note if you want to make progress here. And that's I don't recommend grabbing the eggs and then leaving this area, because there's still something else that we want to do here. It's got another section that would require stealth if we had anything other than the stone mask. But we don't need to worry about that. Oh, this looks like another combat room. Halt! It takes courage to come thieving in the pirate's fortress. I'm gonna love doing this to you. We can tell that the Gerudo pirates here are not above hurting children. This goes quite against what the Gerudo thieves in Ocarina of Time's personal beliefs were, where they had standards against robbing women and children, at least until Ganondorf took over their organization. But these girls are completely different. They are very nasty and will do whatever they can to make a profit. Ugh, don't think it ends here! So after dispatching with that wench, I was able to go over here where we have yet another Zora egg to rescue. We are making good time of this so far. Now, what I could recommend in this area in order to deal with some of the enemies here is to shoot them from the top of the tank. That could definitely help, just to shoot them with the arrows while you're outside. But don't need to worry too much about this. We dealt with these enemies plenty of times before. And with that, we have saved our third egg. Just one more to go, and we're done with this fortress. You can already hear the bell at Clock Town booming. Definitely want to focus on that in a bit. But for now, we are almost done this area. Let's re-equip our stone mask. I actually haven't done a run of this place where I haven't used the stone mask. Would be interesting to try to do. Okay, but at this point we have one more area that we need to explore if we're gonna get our prize. And I have a feeling we should be able to reach it from... Yeah, that spot up there looks like our destination. So want to head up these pillars. And then we can latch on to this. And now we can go over here. Now before we go farther, I want to equip our pictograph, as there is something that we need to do involving the Gerudo pirates. Namely, we need to take a picture. That should be good. So now that we've snapped a picture, we can go forward with no regrets. Oh, look at that. It's a big chest over there. Just the size of that thing makes me think it is something... my notes don't say that it's anything, so... I am just going to theorize that that is a... that it's going to contain a lot of rupees and nothing more. Alright, so we're just gonna leave you and go forward. Look at this area. Okay, for this part, I want this battle to be special. We want Mikau's redemption. That's as far as you go. How unfortunate. You won't be getting past here. So I want to fight as Mikau, so that he can get his redemption. You can use his fins in order to stun a Gerudo, which can be quite nice. Give you an opportunity to strike her when her guard is down. Yep, I just feel like it would be fitting if we are able to beat a pirate as Mikau at least once, so that he's able to finally redeem himself. Able to do a backflip kick with our jump attack. To be nice to do some additional damage. Yep, hope you have a good day there, Starman. There we go. Ah, not bad, but don't think it ends here. And with that, we were able to succeed where Mikau failed. Just one egg left for us to catch. And then we are gonna be done here. So yeah, if you haven't collected all these bottles like I have in the last couple of sessions, this area can be very nasty to go through. Because then you have to make multiple trips for this area just to get the eggs. However, because of the order I did events, we don't have to worry about that, and we can just snatch them up. And with that, we managed to acquire all 4 eggs that were inside the pirate fortress. However, as we heard from a Veil, there is still 3 more eggs that we gotta save. So where, oh where are we gonna get those? Well, for now, I think it's time that we head back to town, at least briefly, so I can deposit these rupees. We've gathered quite a bit, so it'd be nice to drop some off before we get started on what else we need to do this session. So yeah, at the moment, I am like laser focused on trying to save the Zora eggs. But I do want to make note that once we have the hook shot, this opens up so much that we're able to do around Termina that we weren't able to do before. So yeah, I can highly recommend using this opportunity after you've acquired the hook shot to just explore around this world and try to get everything you can. Because there's definitely a hell of a lot you can do with this thing. Really gonna give me that much? You're one rich little guy. However, with the way things are, we're not going to worry too much about all that stuff until a bit later. Because we still have these Zora eggs to take care of. So now that our wallet's empty, how about we fly back to Great Bay? Now, we heard from the last time we were in this area that there is a certain man who is running a place where he was expecting to have the Zora eggs delivered. Because with the way the climate in the bay has changed, the water is unsuitable for allowing Zora eggs to mature. So we need to take them to a very specific area. Namely, we want to take them over here to the Marine Research Lab.
Oh, you finally came! I've been waiting for you. What about the eggs? I heard there's a total of 7. Hurry, put them in that aquarium.
So before we go onward, we are going to need to deposit the eggs we have collected so far into the aquarium here. Simply bring it up top, and then drop them down into the tank. Don't worry, little ones. You're gonna be just fine. Trust in your daddy. Like I said before, it's not explicitly stated, but I do subscribe to the theory that Mikau is the biological father of these eggs. Which would certainly explain why he was so desperate to try and get them back for Lulu. Alright, with that, we have deposited all of the unborn children that we currently need. So the next thing we're going to need to do... So we have learned that there is a certain area that the eggs, the remaining eggs, have been dropped off. And in order for us to get those, we're going to need some additional help. So we're going to head over this way, over into this fisherman's house, the one we encountered before, who was asking us to take a pervy picture for him. Ow. Stupid levers. But yeah, we want to go over here. Want to examine the seahorse here.
Help me! Please take me back to the waters near Pinnacle Rock!
Are you interested in that fish? It's a rare fish, isn't it? It's called a seahorse. I caught it swimming around here, just off Pinnacle Rock. Since it's rare, I was thinking of selling it at the town carnival, which should be starting soon. If you want, I'll give it to you, on one condition. Do you have a pictograph of the female pirates?
I think I have one.
Oh, that's it! I had a picture like that! Well, aren't you a crafty one? You'll give that to me, won't you? In exchange, I'll give you this.
You got a seahorse. Hurry, take it to its home at Pinnacle Rock.
Thank you.
Hurry, take me back to the waters near Pinnacle Rock!
With pictographs, the sepia tone conveys a lot more emotion than color. Isn't it great? This picture you gave me is going to be one of my treasures.
Yeah, I am not going to ask what someone like you is going to be doing with that picture. I mean, this guy clearly has a type, given the pinup he has on his wall, but yeah, that's just a very seedy guy. Alright, but enough about discussing that topic. So we got ourselves a mission we gotta do. And for that, we're gonna want to head over to Pinnacle Rock, which is this area over here with the large rock spires. It's a short little swim over here, but is definitely going to be worth it. Oh, we got another Zora here we can talk to. Mikau, haven't you seen any gold-colored fish around here? Gold-colored fish know this area very well. I was thinking of getting one to guide me to Pinnacle Rock. If the water wasn't so murky, I wouldn't have to rely on the guidance from a gold-colored fish. So we were able to acquire one very recently that should be able to help us. Pinnacle Rock ahead. Beware murky waters and sea snakes. So yep, we're going to want to go forward here. Now they're out in Pinnacle Rock. We can see this sign over here, which should give us a warning. Sea snakes lair ahead. Due to the murky water, caution is advised for all who enter. Luckily, we have someone who can help us. You have strange powers, Hayden. I have a request for you. Please, follow me. So now, our mission is to follow this seahorse. You'll be taking a specific path for this area. It's very similar to the Phantom Guide that you use to navigate across the desert in Ocarina, where you simply have to follow his path. If you stray from the seahorse's path, then you won't be able to reach Pinnacle Rock, so definitely be careful. Just want to maneuver over this way, and we should be good. Here in the depths of Pinnacle Rock live many dangerous sea snakes. My friend is trapped here. Hayden, could you please find a way to rid the area of all the sea snakes and help my friend? Sure thing, buddy. This area is going to be quite interesting. We got ourselves a very big area with a lot of foes to deal with. So all throughout this area, we have these big holes jutting out of the wall. And then we got these large sea snakes. So they will come out of the holes and try to chomp you. So what you want to do is use your shield attack in order to knock into the eels and damage them. And with that, you should be able to handle these guys. It's quite the tricky mission in order to get it right. But as long as you're able to maintain a good amount of magic, we should be good. Just dealing with these guys can be a little bit of a pain because of how big they are and how suddenly they leap out at you. Their hitbox can also be a little tricky. You want to specifically hit the sides of their body in order to damage them, so be careful about that. And also feel free to poke around inside their dens, because there's usually something good you'll find here. But yep, our next mission here is just to deal with the sea snakes, as we heard that this area is where the remaining eggs are being kept. Oh, we can see one already. This seems one of the sea snakes was keeping you on standby in case you needed a snack. Now, our main mission here is to get the Zora eggs. However, there's another reward we can get if we're able to kill all the sea snakes in this area. So we're going to go ahead and dispose of all of them so that we can get this prize. Alright, that takes care of another one, giving us yet another egg. So this is the penultimate egg we need. After this, we just need one more, and then we'll have finally saved Lulu's babies. And theoretically, Mikau's babies. As I said, it's never been confirmed. But come on, it seems so obvious that Mikau is the father. Got another sea snake here. These guys also give me a flashback to a certain enemy that is encountered in Super Mario 64. Specifically the giant eel that you encounter in that one level. That is always such a pain, trying to get the star from that guy. Oh! So it looked like that guy almost chomped me. But we're able to avoid damage somehow. Alright, we took care of you. But there's no egg for us to recover. Alright, that's fine. Let's look around a bit more, because there's probably one more of these guys we need to deal with. Or two. Alright, took care of that guy, and he was guarding the last egg. So with that, we have everything we need to complete the current Zora mission. But we're going to hold off on that just for a bit, as we still have to clear up this area of all of the giant eels. This area also kind of reminds me of that one episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, where there were a bunch of clone troopers stationed at this one point, and they had to deal with some giant eels around their base at one point. Just quite the interesting episode. But after dealing with all of the sea snakes, we were finally able to rescue the seahorse's friend. Let's go talk to them. Thank you, Hayden! This is a symbol of my deepest gratitude! And with that, we're able to get ourselves another piece of heart. So now we have 12 pieces of heart. And believe me when I say we still have a lot more we can get here. But for the time being, we've gotten everything we need around Pinnacle Rock. It's pretty much just the Zora eggs and the piece of heart you get for saving the seahorses. So with that, we are done here. We managed to acquire all the treasure, dealt with all the sea snakes, got the eggs. Yep, we are done with this section. So all we gotta do now is head back to the Marine Research Lab and deposit these eggs where they need to be. Woo! Don't worry, kids, Daddy's coming! In a little bit. Hang on. Alright, we've already talked with you. We want to head over this way. Just about done this mission, which is quite nice, because this is going to give us a very, very nice thing for us. Yeah, you can definitely see here why Hey, this section of the game is quite interesting. Definitely gives you a lot of opportunities to get used to the Zora form's abilities, being able to explore this wide open area and hunting through the waters in order to acquire all the Zora eggs. Definitely good prep work for what we're going to encounter in a bit. But now that we've got our prize, it's time to drop them all into the tank. Don't worry, kiddos. I got you some nice clean water for you to germinate in. I don't even know if that's the right term for, like, animals. Like, I know that term has to do with plants, but I don't know if it's accurate to use that to describe animals developing. Good! All of the eggs have been brought together. It's going to start. Quick, come to the front of the aquarium. Okay, time to see the miracle of life. Aw, look at them. They're like little tadpoles. Ooh, look at this! What does this mean? What in the world could this mean? I've got it! Don't you understand? The way these Zora children have lined up, it means... they look like music notes. You probably guessed what we need to do here. So gotta whip out our guitar in front of the tank. Don't you have some kind of instrument? Here we go. You learn the new wave Bossa Nova. It's the melody taught by the Zora children that invigorates singing voices. That! Yes! It's that instrument! If these Zoras were born to teach the song, then hurry! You must play this song for the Zora who laid these eggs! So all this time, we were gathering up these Zora babies so that they could teach us the song we need in order to help their mother. It's funny how things come together like this, don't they? Now, we could go see Lulu right now, but there's a bunch of other things that we are able to do at this point. I mainly wanted to focus on getting the new wave Bossa Nova before we get started on some of the other things we can do around this area. Because believe me when I say there is a lot we are able to do now. So, how about we take this opportunity to take care of some of the things we're able to do at this point, now that we have access to our Zora form as well as our hookshot. And we'll take care of a couple things for about half an hour. This next area, so we're probably going to need a Pona for this, so that we can get back to Termina Field from this place. So let's go call our horse. See, even though we have restarted the time cycle, we still have access to a Pona. As long as you have a Pona's song, you're able to call her from most locations on the map. There are some areas that naturally she won't be able to go to, but she is quite useful for accessing some areas, such as Ikana and Great Bay. And I want to just jump over this wall over here, as around this section of the map, there is something we can do. stupid lever. Alright, what I want to do in this area... we don't have a bomb right now, but we do have a mask that causes explosions. Bam! Alright, so around here, I want to blow open this hole, because this has some new enemies we can face. Dekubaba. Just calm down and aim carefully. Don't blame me if one hit doesn't get rid of it. So these guys can be quite nasty. They will be hanging from these big lily pads here, and they'll just try to snap at you if you get close. So want to cut them using our Zora's fins, and then they will detach themselves and be crawling along the bottom here. So now we just want to strike at those guys to blast them apart. Really, it's not much else to do with those guys. Okay, so I guess killing them wasn't the main thing we need to do in this area. However, we can see that there's a couple of beehives here. So it'd be in our best interest to knock these down. Obviously, I could recommend using using your arrows to do this, but might as well make use of our Zora form. Oh, there! That's our prize! By knocking down that beehive, we were able to get a piece of heart that falls down here. But yeah, I still recommend taking out the Dekubabas, because they can be quite nasty to deal with. But like that, we're able to get ourselves another piece of heart. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is head back to the... We're gonna head back to the Great Bay. As for the next thing we're gonna do is gonna be something involving the Marine Research Lab. And there's also a bunch of other stuff we can do in this area. Trust me when I say, there is a lot we can do around Great Bay. There's so many different quests we can take care of in order to get prizes. We could do the Skulltula Spider House, but with our current time, I don't recommend getting started on that unless you're at the very start of the 3-day cycle, as that will open up something much newer for us. Ooh, we got these big guys over here around the beach. Please get our fins back. So this guy is a like. It eats whatever you're carrying. You better defeat it if you want your stuff back. So these guys are quite nasty. They will try to suck you up if you get close to them. So stun them, and then strike them, and then distance yourself so you can avoid getting hit. A backflip with a Zora form, it will do a lot of damage to these guys. But yeah, you want to be careful with these guys, because they can definitely hurt. Another thing I recommend doing with these guys is using your bow to strike them from a distance. That's definitely a good strategy to use against these guys, because they are quite nasty. Alright, that guy actually swallowed me up. You also want to be careful, because if you're in your Hylian form, when they suck you up, then they can consume your shield, and then you'll have to kill them quickly to try and get it back. Otherwise, you're going to have to completely replace your shield, and that's quite nasty. I don't want to deal with that. You guys, get out of here. It's got a lot of likes in this area. They are quite the nasty enemies to deal with, so just be careful when you're over here. At the very least, they do drop a good amount of rupees, so it can be worth killing them just for that. However, the main reason I want to be in this area is just around here in the shallow water. There is something that I want in order to complete a quest. And we will definitely take care of that in a little bit after we take care of you. Very good. Now, around here in the shallow water, so I believe, yes, over here, we can see some fish over here. And what I recommend doing is grabbing a bottle and using that to scoop up some fish. This is quite imperative for a mission we're going to be doing in this area, so feel free to snap up as many of these guys as you can. Luckily, we have a lot of bottles, so we should be able to easily get this done. Very good. And while we're also in this area, we want to head over here by this waterfall and this lake. Fall headwaters, Beaver's home, aware of swift currents. So we'll definitely want to remember that for a little bit. However, I actually want to head into this little pool here. Because at the bottom of this area, we can see that there is a big like here. We'll want to take this guy out. Also, there's some fish bones, but we don't really need to worry about those guys. It's like our main target here is the like. Ow. Spit me out, buddy. Blech. Alright, took that guy out with her shield. So after killing that guy, he drops a piece of heart. Quite nice. Quite nice indeedy-doo. Now, get out of here. So now we've taken care of that. We want to head back to the research lab. Once we have stocked up on fish, we'll just fly on over. So I hope things are going all right with everybody here. So I'm currently at the start of a 2-day break from work, which I'm very thankful for because, oh man, the rest of this week is going to be very busy for me as we're getting closer and closer to the holidays. But I'm sure it's going to be a good time. Looking forward to seeing my folks again later this year. And yeah, it's hard to believe that it's already December. This has certainly been a very hectic year, especially for a lot of people. And I'd be lying if I said this was a perfect year. There's certainly been a lot of bad things that have happened over the last couple of months, but I've been holding it together all right. That's a huge fish. I bet that thing could eat a small fish in a single bite. So that gives our hint about something we can do here. We can drop fish into this container, and it'll cause the fish here to grow in size. Now, this part is subject to an interesting bit of RNG, as there are 2 fish inside this container, and it's completely random which of the fish will feed on the fish that you drop in. So, yeah, just gotta be consistent with this and just put in a good number of fish. There, we saw that time that the smaller fish was able to consume the one we dropped in. I have no idea if it's a timing thing, whether one of the fish will grab the one you drop in, but you just want to be persistent with this and make one of the fish larger. Okay, we're currently out of fish, so we're going to need a restock. So I have a feeling that there is another area where we can acquire fish if we head over to this section here. I could be wrong about this. And there's still a lot of likes you can encounter in these areas, so just be careful. Normally the likes will only be in the water. However, when it's nighttime, the likes will then move on to the surface here. Oh yeah, there are a few fish we can get over here. Just want to try and scoop these guys up. Please. So yeah, there's also fish in this pool that you can go after for this mission. on. There we go. Alright, want to try and catch one more, potentially? I can see one more fish around here, but I'm not sure if this one will be valid for this mission. Nope, we were able to catch it. Okay. We should be able to complete this mission now that we have this amount of fish. But yeah, like I said, the likes will usually stay inside the water. However, when it's nighttime, they will crawl up onto land. So that is when they start being more of a threat to you in this area. They're definitely quite the nasty enemies, so definitely watch out for them. Luckily, you don't have to worry too much if you're in your Zora form, since they aren't able to steal any of your equipment. Now, one of the things I like to do is try to jump out of the water and land onto this platform. It can be tricky to do, but it is feasible if you're able to get it right. Alright, so now that we're back at the research lab, it's time to feed the fishies. Here you go. Eat up, buddy. Alright, we got the big one fed that time. And, yep, once it gets large enough in size, it eats the other fish in the container. And it spits out a piece of heart. Ew. Well, that's the cycle of life for ya. And now this fish will be large. And just kind of chilling in its container. Alright, at this point, we don't need to hold on to any fish. So let's go ahead and drop these guys. The least I could have done is put it in the water. No, well. They'll find their way home eventually. Maybe. Alright, looking at some of the other stuff we need to do. We should have enough time to do this. Depending on how things go here. Yeah, we should be able to do this. So I actually want to head back to the area with the waterfall, as there is something we're able to do over here. So I'm just going to avoid the likes this time, because I really don't want to deal with these guys. And we only have a little bit of time left in this session. You can see that there is another one of these here. So how about we put on our Mask of Truth and see what you have to say. Again, it's always good to listen to what the Gossip Stones have to say. To get Evan to listen to Mikau and Japus' song from their music session, you should not try demonstrating it as Mikau. It seems if you pose as someone unrelated to the band and begin playing it, you just might get them to lend an ear. Well, that is some advice that we've already were able to glean in order to get that mission done. Alright, so what I want to do here is I want to try to hook onto these palm trees up on top of these little cliff faces, as this will give us an opportunity to head up to somewhere important to us. Come on, that should be able to latch on. I saw the target on there. There we go. So this area also has a couple cliffs where we can also find chests. So you can actually use the hook shot to latch onto chests in order to get to them. So that can also be a piece of advice on how to navigate through these areas and get to some of the chests around here. Obviously, the chests here are going to contain rupees, so they're definitely good if you want to fill up more of the bank. But for now, I don't have to worry too much about that. Just want to hook our way up here and want to get onto that cliff with that cave. There we go. And now, we can head into this cavern here. The Waterfall Rapids. This is quite the interesting area for us. We can see that there is a beaver swimming around the water here. I think this is the only time that beavers actually appear in the Zelda series. Hey, buddy. So I think I want to lock on to you to get this to happen. Yeah, you lock on him, and then he will swim over to the bottom of this lake. Alright, now we can talk with him. Hey, bud.
You again? You can't fool me with your green clothes. You want an empty bottle, don't you? You never learned your lesson. Okay, I'll give you one, but only if you can swim through all the rings in the river in under 2 minutes. So, do you want to try? Sure. There's a total of 20 rings. You must swim through them in the right order for it to count. Swim through the ring that's flashing. I'll show you the way, so follow me and don't get separated.
So we got ourselves yet another mini-game in this area. Simply put, we have to chase after this beaver and fulfill his objective of swimming through all the rings along this river. This mission can be quite tricky if you aren't yet accustomed to the swimming controls. However, I have played this game enough times that I am quite accustomed to swimming as a Zora, so should be having a pretty decent time of this. This mission is quite simple. You just swim into the rings and try to get to the end of this course. It's really not that bad. You just need to watch out for the timer and make sure you go into the rings in the correct order. It's definitely a good test of your Zora abilities. So depending on how well you've adjusted to these controls depends on how well you'll do here. Now for this one, you need to make a jump in order to get that one, or at least be on the surface of the water. So that one can be a bit tricky, but we're able to get through there quite nicely. And we should be just near the end of the course as we're approaching the Beaver's Lodge. Just follow close behind, get into the last rings, and we'll be good. Alright, we got a high one to do now. And then one more right at the end. There we go.
Ah, that was perfect! That's not good!
Did you call me little brother?
I called you big brother! Actually...
What? An empty bottle?
Yeah, an empty bottle!
Don't worry, little brother. To us, empty bottles are a treasure. I can't give you one just because you be my little brother.
We can't just give you one!
I'll give you one after you race once more against me. So, will you try? The rules are the same, but this time there are 25 rings. Don't fall behind.
So now we have to do yet another race, this time with the Beaver's older brother. So this race is very similar to the last one we did, only now there's 25 rings, and their placements are going to be different from the ones that we saw before. So yeah, this mission's definitely going to be a bit trickier compared to the last one. But shouldn't be too bad. I've done this course plenty of times, so we should be able to navigate through this pretty well. So I'm mostly going to be focusing on completing this mission here, so I don't want to spend too much time chatting as that could throw me off. So I'm just going to focus on our current objective here. Also, I hope you like the voices I try to give to the beavers. I want to try and give them a bit of a Norbert and Daggett voice, for anyone who saw the Angry Beavers way back in the day. I actually really liked that show when I was a kid. Haven't seen it in so long, but I remember having a good time with it. Alright, 2 more rings to do. Ah! Okay, that was a little unfortunate, but we should be done. Woo!
He did it, little brother!
Yeah, he did it, big brother!
There's nothing we can do, little brother!
Oh, this is a mess, big brother!
And with that, we get an empty bottle.
We underestimated you!
Alright, I'm gonna let a little bit of time pass right now, because I don't want to be interrupted with the dawn of a new day before we do our next objective here. So, how about while we just wait for time to pass, what's something else that we could talk about? So, I've been playing a lot of Genshin Impact very lately, and some interesting developments have happened when I was playing for the game earlier today. So I actually managed to wish a new character that I haven't managed to acquire yet. So it's a woman named Rosaria, who is quite the interesting character. I'm really looking forward to getting to do more with her in a bit. Oh. Okay, I guess we didn't get interrupted with the usual message here. I guess because this area is very special and remote that it didn't just give the usual indicator that it was the dawn of a new day. But yeah, what I want to do is talk to the beavers again.
He's back, little brother.
Yeah, he's back, big brother!
But we don't have any more empty bottles, do we, little brother?
No, we don't have any, big brother!
If you say you still want to race, though, that's fine. What will you do?
I'll race.
First, you have to start with my little brother. This time, the limit is 1 minute 50 seconds. Don't fall behind.
So now we gotta do the same race that we did before, only now the time limit is a lot more strict. Luckily, if you're able to go through the course about the same as we did before, then we shouldn't have to worry too much about the timer. Just stay on course, get through the rings, and you'll be good. I actually feel like on the second race here, you do take a different path compared to the first one. So there is definitely an added element of difficulty here, but shouldn't be too bad. As long as we are consistent, we should have this race in the bag. Also, to mention some other things that have been going on lately, so I've been posting the VODs for when I streamed Pokemon Gold over on my Twitch channel over to my YouTube recently. And today, I finally uploaded the episode where I took on the Pokemon League in Pokemon Gold. So that was quite nice to do. And I'm very excited to be getting to finish up uploading those particular videos, because I definitely have a lot more I want to focus on uploading very soon, especially as we get near the end of this year.
He did it again, little brother!
He did it again, big brother!
That's shameful, little brother. Now race me. What will you do? The time limit's the same as it was for my little brother, 1 minute 50 seconds. But there are 25 rings this time. Don't fall behind.
Alright, we're gonna beat you this time, Norbert. Also want to note that these are definitely some of the more unusual NPCs in the entire Zelda series. Like, they're talking beavers, they have just these very goofy designs. They remind me a lot of the animal characters you would encounter in Link's Awakening, which is another one of my personal favorite Zelda games. It definitely adds to the mystique and the very quirky nature of this game compared to how some of the other Zelda games tend to be a lot more straightforward. And it can usually be a lot more serious, like we saw with Ocarina, Twilight Princess, and especially Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But this game, for all of its more dark themings that it goes for a lot of the time, still can have a couple whimsical moments, like us having a race against these quirky beaver brothers. Yeah, definitely quite the unusual situation, but it definitely adds to the mystique about the world of Termina. And in a lot of ways, this game is very similar to Link's Awakening. And I'll definitely like to go more into those similarities as we go forward in this story, but we'll save that discussion for another day. So we are just about done with this race. Woo! There we go!
He's a formidable opponent, little brother.
You're all just talk, eh, big brother?
If we give that to him, I wonder if he'll leave us alone, little brother.
Yeah, I want to quit, big brother.
So by beating him a second time, we get a piece of heart. And with that, we've assembled yet another heart container, giving us 13. Please, let it be over! Yep, this time, we're done here. Managed to beat the beavers at their race, getting all of their treasures. And with that, I feel like this is a good stopping point for this session. Thinking about some of the stuff that we are going to be doing coming up. We definitely have quite a lot of things to do going forward. At this point, now that we have the New Wave Bossa Nova, we have everything we need in order to enter the next dungeon that we need to go through. So I guess that will be the subject of the next session. And then we can spend the remainder of this cycle taking care of some of the other events that we can do now that we have managed to acquire all of the things we were able to acquire here today. And also get started on a couple other quests that are going to be necessary for us. So yep, I definitely feel like this is a good stopping point. Managed to get done a lot in this session, and we are very close to being prepared for the end of the Great Bay storyline. So, next time on The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, we will be heading off to Great Bay Temple. Until next time, have a good day, and take care, everyone.